So I just turned 48 and I am done with people pleasing. I feel like I spent the first portion of my life really caring a lot about what other people thought, and I was looking out externally to the world to kind of navigate life, like what people were doing in movies, what people were wearing in magazines, what status people had in companies, and I am completely done with that. And one of the things that's really interesting about me feeling this way is that I've been reading a lot about Carl Jung and his theories or philosophy on, I think his quote is that life really begins at 40. And I feel like that's true. He has this philosophy that up until 40, you're in the morning phase of your life. And then once you hit 40, you go into the afternoon phase of your life. And he says that the morning phase of your life is all about ego, fitting in with the tribe, hierarchy, and you're kind of looking for validations externally amongst your peers and amongst the tribal group. And the morning phase of your life is like the extroverted phase of your life. And then once you hit 40, you go into the introverted phase of your life. And it's like before 40, you're wearing a mask. And then when you hit 40, it's like you take off the mask, you go inward, you stop people pleasing, and you really discover who you are and how you want to be and live in the world. And that is 100% the trajectory that I have experienced. My mom has said to me so many times, I can't believe you're so introverted now. You were such an extrovert when you were a kid. And when I started reading Jung's philosophy, I was like, this matches my trajectory perfectly. Like when I was in my 20s and 30s, I had jobs where I really wanted to climb the hierarchy and I cared about titles. I really wanted to have that like senior level title or that director level title. I would wear the outfits to work. I would, do the company reviews and like all the things to really try and find my place within the world. And even like when I was like 34 to I think around 36 or 37, I was getting Botox because I really cared how I outwardly appeared to the world. And then around like 38 or 39, I had stopped wanting to get Botox. I started really wanting to care about my health. I cared more about my inward body than how I appeared externally. I was like, I'd rather not have chemicals in my face because my inward life just became so much more important and so much stronger. And I really did transfer from an extroverted lifestyle to an introverted one. I've talked on this channel before about how I used to drink a little bit when I would have to go to like company parties because I was moving into that introverted phase and I was masking my discomfort at being at these social events. I don't drink anymore because I'm now in the I'm not people pleasing phase. And so I'm in the like, oh, I just don't want to go to that event, so I'm not going to. Or if I do, I'll go for like 30 minutes and then, leave. Yeah, so I just really genuinely do not do things anymore that I don't want to do. So like, before when I was younger, if somebody wanted me to do something for them, I would be like, oh, they really want me to, and I want to be a nice person. And now that I'm in my later 40s, I'm like, but I really don't want to. And if they're a nice person, they wouldn't want me to do it because I don't want to. And so it's a different perspective. And I don't think it's about whether you're like, I don't think it's about whether you're like a stronger person or not. I really do think it's the evolution of going from the morning phase of your life into the afternoon phase of your life. And the more I've thought about this, I feel like it affects art. On this channel, I talk a lot about being a photographer and art. And I feel like in my younger years, I would look to other artists for inspiration. I would look at their lighting. I would find out what gear they were using. I would look at how they were posing models. And then I would do the same thing. I mean, I wasn't like copying their work, but I'd be like, oh, I really like that pose. I want to give that a try and see how it looks, that type of thing. So it was like I was researching. I was in my research phase of life. And then when I hit my 40s and now into my later 40s, I'm very clear on how I want to communicate to the world as an artist. And it's more now that instead of looking to other artists for inspiration, I'm looking inward. And so I think that's where artists find their own style, is when they go into the afternoon phase of their life. And when I look back on history, the best artists and photographers really are in their 40s and 50s, and sometimes even 60s. And I know culturally, people are kind of obsessed with like the young, trendy, early 20s artist, but the majority of artists really are their best in their 40s and 50s. And it's because you go into this inward, introverted, self-reflective phase where you no longer care about what other people think, and you're really just creating from that inner space. I think also this afternoon phase is reflected in relationships. So like, I think statistically, 70% of divorces and separations come from women, and they're usually in their 40s. And I think that that's because women go through the menopausal phase of their life where menopause for a lot of women happens in their 50s, but you have fewer hormones. So you're not as interested in procreation, one. And then two, you're going from wanting the tribal group family thing into wanting isolation and inward reflection. And so I think that that causes a lot of separations and divorce. I'm single, and when I was younger, I really wanted a relationship. And now that I'm older, I'm like really glad I don't have one, because I'm in this more inner kind of cocoon reflective phase. But I do think that's one of the reasons there's so many divorces and separations. Like if I were in a relationship now, like let's say I'd gotten in one in my 20s and 30s and I was still in one, like to maintain a healthy relationship, I think during this phase, people need to give a lot of space to their partner so that they can go through this very, very natural transformation, really. I think also this is one of the reasons that companies prefer to hire and employ people in their 20s and 30s, because people in their 20s and 30s, they care a lot about fitting into the group. They care a lot about status and titles and all that. So, you know, companies can give you a title, but not necessarily give you extra pay. And just based on human evolution, people in their 20s and 30s are more inclined to take it because they care about establishing and gaining status. And people that are older, they really need to be in the roles of like managers and stuff like that, because that's where you have the wisdom, but you don't care about the title, you just have the wisdom to share. So people in their 40s and 50s and beyond are like, just pay me and I'll share my wisdom and skills. But I don't care about titles. I don't care about the company parties and functions, because you're just in a different phase of life. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I've been in this phase for a period of time, but I feel like as I'm in the latter part of my 40s, it's like stronger and stronger and stronger the older I get, where I'm like, I really just have a strong sense of who I am that I didn't have in my 20s and 30s at all. So I feel like that's changing a little bit with social media. I feel like younger people are now able to gain insights from people in their 40s and 50s and 60s that they weren't able to have access to prior to social media. So I feel like that's changing a little bit, to where like the status games and stuff like that aren't as prevalent because they have access to this wisdom from older people. So that's where I'm at. It's my birthday and I don't give a, I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm I'm gonna ask my question of the day from this book that I made of questions. I'm just gonna pick one at random. And for my birthday, all I want for my birthday is for you to answer this question. Okay, I have 2 to choose from. Let's see. Okay, what genre of movies would you most like to live in? So if your life was a movie and it was a genre, what genre of movies would you want to live in? I like character pieces. I would want to be in a character piece film. One that does not have any like bad things happen. It's just a character piece. That's what I would want, which I kind of feel like that's what life is. So what genre of movie would you like to live in? And I have my heart shirt on because we're nearing Valentine's Day and I love love. So happy Valentine's Day, and I hope I will see you on the next one. Bye.